let's talk about this card. UFC 318, man. This right here is one of the worst pay-per-views this year. There's not a title fight. It's literally the BMF belt, the WWE belt of the UFC. And it's a fight that we've already seen before. And not only that, but this entire card is trash. And especially the way the UFC has organized this card. We have, obviously, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, which is... It's a fight that we've seen already twice. Holloway's lost both of them. And this is Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. If Max Holloway goes out here and beats Dustin Poirier, what was the whole point of putting this matchup together when you could have just gave Dustin Poirier a layup? I don't know who they could have gave him, but they could have given him Fazeev. I don't know. They could have given him somebody at least he's capable of beating to go out on top, to go off into the sunset in Lafayette, Louisiana. Because this fight does nothing for both of them. If Poirier loses, if he beats Max Holloway, he's beaten Max Holloway 3 times. And it's like he's already beaten him twice, so why are you going to match them up together? If Max Holloway loses to Poirier, it hurts him even more because he lost to Poirier at featherweight, who's the champ now at lightweight. He did beat Gagey, but then he loses to Poirier. So it's like, what does it do for Max Holloway? And what's his next matchup too? Because this fight does nothing for Max Holloway. Remember, Max Holloway is still 33. He still has a chance to go make a run again. And especially if he loses, Poirier retires with the BMF belt. You're going to make another BMF fight with 2 old heads that just couldn't make it to the title again. Like, this fight right here, it just doesn't make sense. It just, I don't know. Like, especially for the BMF belt. I know they use the BMF belt as a gimmick, but if you're going to keep the gimmick going, if Poirier loses, that belt is basically vacant. I still think this is going to be an exciting fight, but I don't know. This does nothing for both of their careers. Poirier already has 2 wins over Holloway. You know, Holloway, if he wins against Poirier, it really does nothing for him because Poirier is not going to be in the rankings anymore. It just does nothing for both of their careers. Now, the co-main event. You have Patricio Pitbull versus Dan Ige. This does nothing for Dan Ige. Dan Ige just finished beating Sean Woodson, a guy who was looking to come up in the rankings, who was on a run, who was on a tear, and Dan Ige knocks him out, finishes him. Dan Ige is trying to look up into the rankings, obviously. And they give him Patricio Pitbull, who just lost to Yair Rodriguez. Looked horrible against Yair Rodriguez. And I just don't know why they're making this fight right here. Like, Patricio Pitbull's 38 years old. If you want to give him at least a UFC win, to be honest, I can't even find a layup for Patricio Pitbull because he looks so bad and he's too old. I don't even know why the UFC signed this guy. Obviously, he's a legend of somewhat a legend of the sport. You know, he's a Bellator legend. Let's say that he's a Bellator legend, but Dan Ige is going to go out there and knock this guy out on the first round. And then, not only that, but the featured fight, you have Atemba Gutierrez versus Robert Valentin. Atemba Gutierrez made his UFC debut, got a knockout, and you're going to give him a featured fight on a pay-per-view against Robert Valentin, who's 0-2. 0-2 coming into this fight. His last loss was against Taurus Finley, bro. Like, okay, it benefits Robert Valentin a bit that he gets a strike at least in this one, but come on, we don't need this as a featured fight. These guys are not going to go out there and give us a Brandon Royval, Joshua Van type of war. Like, if anything, this fight probably could have been the featured fight. Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. Hopefully this doesn't get canceled because, you know, it's already like it'd be the second time it gets canceled. Paulo Costa, he's a canceled fight merchant, but I feel like this one could have been co-main or featured fight. Or even Brendan Allen versus Marvin Vettori. Brendan Allen is from Louisiana. He should be the co-main of this event. Like, at least give him that respect. And obviously, you know, Vettori and Allen have one of the worst IQs in MMA right now. But still, I think that would have been a fun fight at least, maybe. But, you know, at least give Brendan Allen like a co-main event. You know, he's from Louisiana. His people are going to be there. You're going to give him the featured prelim spot? And then you have Michael Johnson versus Daniel Zellhuber, which I feel like you could have given Daniel Zellhuber an up-and-comer, you know, someone who's young. You could have given Michael Johnson an old head, bro. I think this could be a banger fight. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like the matchmaking here isn't something that I kind of want to see. I feel like I want Daniel Zellhuber to look, you know, more up, go into the rankings. Yeah, Michael Johnson, I feel like Daniel Zellhuber could go out there and defeat Michael Johnson, knock him out. But, you know, I don't want it to be Michael Johnson. I want it to be somebody a little bit better than Michael Johnson. Yeah, Michael Johnson's coming off a couple good wins right now. But, you know, they're against old heads, man. Like, leave Michael Johnson alone. He's not going to be making a run to the title. At least give him an old head. The matchmaking here, I did not understand. But let's talk about the prelims. We have Vettori versus Brendan Allen as the featured prelim. I need this as the co-main event. I know both guys are coming off losses. You know, Vettori lost his brother. You know, Allen lost to Fluffy Hernandez in a close fight. You know, they're both there in the rankings. You know, this could be a really sloppy middleweight fight. But who knows? These two could go out there and bang it out pretty bad. I just feel like they disrespected Brendan Allen, knowing that he's from Lafayette, Louisiana, and he should be the co-main. I feel like this fight right here should be at least in the main card, not the featured prelim. And I feel like they did that, and it's because the prelims are not that good. There's only a couple good prelim fights. Adam Fuja versus Islam Deludov, whatever, a new guy coming into the UFC, making his debut. Adam Fuja, nobody cares about this fight. This fight right here, nobody cares about. This fight got canceled. Gunnar Nelson's not fighting. They're trying to look for, you know, a replacement for Neil Magny. You know, they're like, what, 2 weeks out? 2 weeks out from the card. Who's fighting on Neil Magny in 2 weeks' notice has to be an up-and-comer guy. But I won't be surprised if this, you know, if Neil Magny doesn't find an opponent in time. Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira is probably one of the only good fights on the prelims. Not gonna lie to you, the technical fight might happen here. You know, the technical matchup between these two guys is gonna be good to see. Vinicius Oliveira coming off a good win against Said Nurmagomedov. Kyler Phillips, he got badly fraud checked by Rob Font. But Phillips is now a father. Hopefully the father strength, you know, becoming a dad gets him back on track to the belt. This right here is gonna be a good fight though. I can't wait to see this fight. You have this fight that nobody cares about. Carly Judice finally got her first one in the UFC. Nicole Kalari still doesn't have a win in the UFC. I don't even know why this is so high up in the prelims. Hopefully this is going to be a little bit lower. You have Jimmy Crute versus Martin Prachnio. I don't even know how Jimmy Crute's still in the UFC. I don't even know how Marcin Prachnio's still in the UFC. Hopefully this is a better fight. I don't know. This fight right here, it doesn't interest me so much. Somebody might get knocked out though, that's for sure. Francisco Prado versus Nikolay Verotechniov or whatever. This guy lost to Austin Vanderford. I feel like this is a layup for Francisco Prado. Francisco Prado. I really like this kid, but they've been giving him some tough fights, and he's short for the division as well. I feel like this has to be a layup for him, and hopefully he wins this fight, because Nicolay only has 2 losses in the UFC. Francisco Prado has a win and 3 losses. I need Francisco Prado to win this fight. If not, he's getting cut. And I feel like this is the fight to make right here. What are we doing? Like, I did not get this one at all. You have Kevin Holland, who's ranked 15, who just finished beating Vicente Luque. Like, submitting Vicente Luque. And he calls out Colby Covington. I really wanted that fight, but I'm guessing that Colby Covington does not want this fight. But, why are you matching him up against Daniel Rodriguez, bro? I didn't get that. I don't get why you're matching him up against Daniel Rodriguez at welterweight. I think this is one that hopefully he's at welterweight. I think it is, because usually, you know, these two guys fight at middleweight. I think it's at welterweight, but still, I want Kevin Holland to look up. I know Kevin Holland, you know, he'll fight anywhere, anytime, any place. That's why I love him. But this fight right here just doesn't make sense for him. And I still think he beats Daniel Rodriguez. But usually with the bigger guys at middleweight that are stronger than Kevin Holland, usually take him to the ground and out-grapple him. But Kevin Holland recently has shown that his grappling is, you know, really good. He's always had good grappling, but he's, you know, finishing guys now. I don't know. This doesn't make sense to me. I feel like Kevin Holland should have been looking up in the rankings. You know, way more exciting fights. This guy gets paid a lot. Why would he want to fight down and fight Daniel Rodriguez? This one was recently added. Ryan Spann versus Lucas Brzeski. Lucas Brzeski should not be in the UFC. He's 1-5 in the UFC, but the heavyweight division is so awful that he somehow is still in the UFC as like a punching bag. Like, first of all, this is a layup for Ryan Spann, because Ryan Spann in his last fight lost to Waldo Acosta Cortez Acosta, whatever. And he looked so bad in that fight that they said, man, we're really going to have to give this guy a layup or somebody so bad for him to at least go up in the rankings. Hopefully he beats Lucas Brzeski. I think he is, but Ryan Spann also doesn't have really good fight IQ, but whatever. Short notice replacement. Jackson McVeigh was supposed to fight on UFC 317, but the guy missed weight and they didn't give it to him. And now Bruno Ferreira was supposed to fight Iskram Askarov and Alaskarov pulls out. He pulls out, and they just give him, you know, Jackson McVeigh, who's been he's been needing a UFC debut. They give him Bruno Ferreira. This right here is a layup for Bruno Ferreira. He's had way too many good guys in the UFC. He's coming off a really good win. I think it's against Abustas Magomedov. I forgot which Magomedov it is, but still, easy win for Jackson Jackson right there. This card's just not good. This card is not good at all. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's a pay-per-view. There's not a title fight. It's Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. I know you're trying to make this, you know, like super good. I don't know what the UFC is really doing here. I really don't know. But this card is trash. Like, it's not worth $80. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't like sell as much pay-per-views, because, brother, this is dog shit, dude. Like I feel like I'm gonna be fighting my sleep to try and watch Dustin Poirier versus Max Holloway. But this card is just so bad, bro. This doesn't deserve to be a pay-per-view, bro. If anything, UFC Nashville is better than this. UFC Nashville has way more fun fights than this one. Like, I don't know if it's just because they scattered this around and they have a couple good names on here, but if I were to make this a good main card, I'd have Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier main event. Co-main, Brendan Allen versus Marvin Vettori, or Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. You can switch those two as the co-main or featured fight of the card, doesn't matter. You have Danny Ige versus Patricio Pitbull opening the card up. And then right after that fight, you have Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira, or Kevin Holland versus Daniel Rodriguez. As the fourth fight. Opening, you can have Vinicius Oliveira, Kevin Holland, and then after that, it really doesn't matter. The prelims are just not that good. But if you're gonna make this a good main card, make it good. Like, I just don't know what the UFC is doing here. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm GNAPS MMA. Like and subscribe. I'm out.